This is Lacey Everett here with Minds in Motion. In order to help others, subscribe, which is free, so we can continue building our positive mental health community. Share it with friends and family so they can reap of the benefits as well. I truly care about your success, so I would love to see your comments and thoughts. Today's sports psychology guest is Jessica Richens. For the past 7 years, Jessica has been working in the professional entertainment industry. Her television credits include So You Think You Can Dance, Season 11, where she plays second runner-up, The Ellen Show, Dancing with the Stars, Live with Kelly and Ryan, and The Masked Singer, to name a few. Jessica has danced in music videos and performed live with artists such as Taylor Swift. She has worked for Bellagio, Radio City, Nike, ExxonMobil, Tilly's, and Disney World. Currently, Jessica is employed by world-famous electronic violinist Lindsey Sterling. Whew! She is rocking this world. Hi, Jess!
Hi, Lacey.
Thank you so much for joining us today.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me on. I'm honored that you asked me.
Oh, of course. Well, I think what you have to say is going to be super beneficial, especially for dancers. So I thought we would just jump right in and start with performance anxiety. Because it's real. It's real. And you, out of all people, would have such wonderful things to say about that. So
yeah, I mean, that is like, just you saying that, like, kind of raises my blood pressure a little bit. I think everyone goes through it. And I've actually been experiencing performance anxiety even more as I get older. I feel like growing up competing and stuff, I always got nervous before I went on stage, but I knew how to channel those nerves into adrenaline and help my performance. But as I haven't, been competing and on stage as much, I've experienced performance anxiety in auditions now. And it's so crazy because it kind of like slips in there without you even realizing it. And I also think it comes with age, just because we get a little bit more fearful as we get older, which is such a annoying thing. But yeah, it's so weird. About a few years ago, probably after So You Think, I started like just learning the combo in auditions and then getting really nervous, even though I've done it 100 times. And then I would go out there and completely like the anxiety would override my brain and then override my body. And I would just completely forget the steps, which as a dancer is like the most nerve-wracking thing, right? Like as long as we can remember the steps, that's all we need to do. So I saw my therapist about it and I was like, look, this is like my career on the line. Like, I don't know what's happening to me. I don't know, like, what's going on. And he kind of gave me just some tactics to like get through it, because he was just saying like, look, this happens to everyone. Performance anxiety, you have so much writing on every audition that you go to, whether you consciously know it or not. And he just gave me some like tactics, like, I don't know if you've ever heard of this, but kind of like going like this under your eyes and tapping, and counting to 1, 2, 3, and 3, 2, 1. I don't know what that does. I remember him saying so, like, I think it kind of talks you out of the anxiety, because, you can keep on getting more stressed and more stressed the more you think about it. And that kind of diverted my focus away from the anxiety and more towards, okay, can I count to 3? Can I count backwards from 3? And then I'm patting my eyes. So I probably look like a fool in auditions, like, because I'm like on the side like this, just patting my eyes. But really, it's a battle that everyone goes through. And I'm still working on it. I'm not saying that it's cured or anything. It's just something that you really have to acknowledge and know that it's going to be there, but you can, try your best to fight it off. And I think the more that I take class and the more I train and the more prepared I am mentally and physically, I think the less performance anxiety I'll get, just because of that conditioning over and over again. And as you become a professional dancer, we all know you train less, right? And you audition more, which is kind of twisted because you should keep on training. We've never really arrived as professional dancers. There's always more room to grow. So I always realized that performance anxiety would sneak up when I was just too busy teaching or working and I couldn't train. And then I would go to an audition kind of just not conditioned enough physically and mentally.
I mean, yeah, that makes sense. Because if we're not, because it is with dancers, when you go out there and you're a professional, you're not really training as much, like you said. So it's harder to kind of get in that zone where you're used to it. And instead
Right.
you're going out constantly in kind of like fight or flight modes because you're always at an audition. Mm-hmm. So this technique is really great. So, okay, can we try it? So you go 3, 2, 1.
1, 2, 3. And then just do it for as long as you need. I think it's just a redirection of the brain, and you would probably know more about this, but once we're in the fight and flight cycle, it kind of shows you like, okay, like there's nothing to run away from. We're patting our eyes, like it kind of redirects your brain to focus on something else other than the stress of what you're experiencing.
Yes, that is a great technique for athletes of all kinds to use this. And I love that you go to a therapist. That's pretty great. But I mean, it's needed. And
it's so needed.
Yes. And this technique, so what it's doing, it's keeping you in the present moment. Kind of like you said, like, okay, you're here, you're tapping your eyes, what is happening in the moment. And it takes you away of the anxiety, which is fear of the future. So we're anxious when you're going in an audition. It's like, oh, are they going to like me? Am I going to do my jumps high enough, my turns fast enough? And, am I going to be able to pick up the choreography? And it's all about the future, fear of the future. But really, it's people who are in the present moment more, they excel. They do a lot better because they're able to hone in on their bodies and, okay, right now I'm right here. I don't need to think about the future yet. I mean, the future's in the future, hasn't happened yet.
Right.
The past is in the past, it's gone over. See, I mean, we might as well just be in the present moment. I mean, we might as well. So I can
easier said than done, right?
Yes, right. I know. But this is a good place to start.
Yeah, it is a good place to start.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for that. And
of course.
There's another thing with dance, especially, is when you're on a stage and you're performing in front of an audience and you make a mistake, dancers can't show that on their face. And I mean, if you're a basketball player and you miss a shot, you can show that, they're upset, but dancers, we can't show that. So do you have any tips and tricks for how to go about that?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's happened to me a million times. I mean, ask any artist, ask any dancer. We can train as hard as we want, but things happen on stage, you slip because of the floor, or, you might have forgotten something, or maybe you didn't tighten your core enough for that turn and you're falling out of it. And I think it was just ingrained in me at a very young age just to smile through it. And no one knows your routine when you're on stage. Only you know your routine, and maybe your choreographer. But the judges who are judging you and the audience who has never seen this before, they have no idea what you're about to do. So it's really up to you whether you want to let them in on, shoot, I made a mistake, or play it off. And I think that's what's so cool in dance, is that it's so specific to you. And I mean, even in a group dance, I mean, that's a little bit harder because we have to be like very, rigid and together and stuff. But more in a solo performance, you're able to just kind of play it off at the best of your ability. And especially when you've been training for so long, you're conditioned, like I said, to just kind of smile through it, or like make it something fun. And I think that's where like the whole artistry of dance comes in, is that, it's a sport, and I can't tell you that enough that it's a sport, because what we're doing is like crazy hard. Like I would want to crazy hard. People have no idea. But it's also an artistry to it too. So I think it's really cool that we can, play with so much while we're on stage, and your facials are half of what you're doing. The performance is half of the technique, and it's way more important than we think. And that's what I try to tell my students that I teach now is like, look, no one knows that you messed up on your turns. Just play it off. Like, it's up to you whether you want to let people know that you messed up, or if you want to push through that and just have no one know, like, the wiser,
Oh, totally. This is all really great advice, Jess.
Oh, thanks.
Truly, it's hard. It's really hard, especially for beginning dancers, to not show that they just completely fell on stage and, get back up and pretend nothing happened. And when you have confidence on stage, whether you actually do or not, fake it till you make it. I mean, if you show that you have confidence, the judges will feel confident in you.
Totally. Yeah, it definitely proves to people like, okay, she's resilient. Like, let's see how the rest of her solo is going to go. If she's going to let that get into her head, that fall that she just did, or if she's just going to use that to help her performance be even better. You're so right. I say it to my students all the time, fake it till you make it. I'm like, if you don't feel confident, like, the only way I'm going to know is by your face. If you're looking down, if your shoulders are hunched, if you're like dancing like this. But if you decide to fake it and your shoulders are back and your eyes are up and you're smiling and you're dancing, but it's not like that great, like, I'm like, oh my gosh, you're so confident. It makes me feel like, it really goes a long way as far as dancing goes in performance.
It goes a long way. Yes. And it makes you want to watch them because it's like, oh, she's not that good at dancing, but she's doing great right now. She's confident.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And like what you said, that's great advice. They don't know your routine. They don't know unless you show them.
Right.
So that's great. Something to practice and such. And okay, so the last thing I wanted to talk about was the mind-body connection that goes on with dance. Because I mean, if you're feeling sad, you might dance sad. If you're internally feeling really excited, your jumps might be higher than ever, things like that. So I know there's a strong mind-body connection with dance, because dance, you're moving your bodies the whole time, and it's about expressing emotions and such. So could you speak on that a little bit?
Yeah, of course. The mind-body connection is so much stronger, I think, than we even think it is. Like, even with not dancing for 5 weeks, right? I'm like, oh boy, like when I go in there, am I even going to know how to point my feet? But it's just so ingrained into who I am that I surprise myself once I go back to dance. I'm like, wow, like, my body knows what to do without me even like having to tell it. And that's what's so cool about like training, is that you just get so connected to body memory, and it just happens without you sometimes even thinking about it. And as far as like performance and being sad in a combo and having your jumps be higher, it's really interesting, because a lot of it comes from music and what the music is saying. And I really like connecting with the music. And what's so crazy is that sometimes the song won't be talking about something that I personally went through. So I have to use empathy, and I almost have to put myself in that situation and feel what I think it would feel to be in that situation. And that's what's so interesting, is that, of course, when you've gone through something in real life and you can put it into a dance and those emotions, that's easy, right? But when you haven't gone through something, but you have to put yourself in that person's shoes and then emulate that through your face and through your body, and how would someone going through that situation feel at this moment, like, it's so cool. And I think there's few dancers at a very young age that can do that. And I do, like, my teachers always told me, like, when I was like 14, they're like, how can you like feel that way? And I don't know how. It's just like, I guess you just really have to put, yourself into those person's shoes and just let yourself go there. And I know, like, through the breakups that I went through in high school, like the silly things, they're so emotional. But like I would go to dance and we would be doing a sad combo and I would be crying because I'm like, oh, this like feels so good. But I mean, that's the artistry of dance too, is that like you can put your emotions into that. And when you're feeling happy and you got, an amazing job, like you put that into your jumps, into your plie. It's really cool because it's not an emotionless sport. Like it's dependent on your emotion if you're either doing a sad thing or a happy thing.
Nice. It's dependent on your emotion. I can totally see that. And like you mentioned, it sounds therapeutic in a sense, because if you go through a hard thing and then the combo that night at your dance studio that you're dancing to is a sad combo, you can feel it and go to a dance studio and learn the combo to something that you haven't experienced before, but channel yourself to be able to experience it. Mm-hmm. Those feelings, that's really interesting because it's part of the art. Like you said, it's a very exquisite art.
Yeah, it teaches you life lessons too. And I mean, all dancers are like, dance is my therapy. And as cheesy as that is, like it can totally be your therapy. A great dance class where you're doing like Fosse moves and like going back to, sassiness can like just make you like walk out of that class like, ooh, like I feel better, Yes,
you can feel so empowered almost, or like,
yeah.
And how do you feel after those, if you remember, after those combos you're learning at a dance studio and it's a sad combo and you just went through a breakup or something and you do a sad combo, what do you feel like after? Do you feel better after?
Oh, so much better. It's like going to a therapy session, because instead of using your words to express how you're feeling, you're using your body. And I think that's so much more powerful when you can like, I don't know, the words only go so far, but why people like punch walls, it's like they're mad, right? Mm-hmm. Instead of punching a wall, like I can do a dance move like with so much effort that it just almost all that energy and those feelings can ooze out of you and you don't have to contain it anymore.
Nice. Yeah, you don't have to repress any of those feelings, mm-hmm. because you're getting it out with your body. How unique is that?
It's so cool. I love dance.
Oh, I love it too.
I love it for that.
Yes. Oh, wow. Okay, this was wonderful advice.
It's cool to, like, sometimes you just get so, like, in the motion, like, I'm a dancer. I'm a professional dancer. I go and teach this class. I travel here and do this. And then I teach combos. And it can kind of become, like, normal. And this is just what you do. So it's really cool to be asked these questions and just to kind of reflect on like, oh yeah, this is why I do it. Like it is like therapy. Like, yes, there's challenges and, but it kind of revives my love for dance. So thank you for asking me.
Oh, of course. And thank you for answering. This is going to be so beneficial for dancers and other athletes in general, people.
Good. I'm glad I could help a little bit. I'm still learning. I'm not a professional. You're the professional here.
No, I'm still learning too. We're all still learning.
Yeah.
I'm 100 and still learning. Probably lifetime learners.
That's the point.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Jess.
Thanks, Lace.
This is Lacey Everett here with Minds in Motion. In order to help others, subscribe, which is free, so we can continue building our positive mental health community. Share it with friends and family so they can reap of the benefits as well. I truly care about your success, so I would love to see your comments and thoughts.